Childhood is a very special time. The rest of your life is ahead of you, full of possibilities. And the friends that you have seem like they're going to be your friends forever.
You know, I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back, people who grew up in the early 2000s had a very unique experience when it comes to cartoons. Because while the decades before and after had their own amazing shows, it's only when looking back that you realize the wide variety of shows that the early 2000s had. From comedies like SpongeBob to action-based shows like Samurai Jack, with many more that mixed both. There were shows that took a realistic approach, while others chose to be more surreal. But what the best of them all had in common was that they had heart. And I think that there's one episode in particular that best shows all of this. And it's one of the saddest episodes from this era. And that is Teen Titans, How Long is Forever. It's about this that I want to talk with you today. Before I get started, I just want to say please like, share, and subscribe. Now, back to the video. For those who don't know, Teen Titans was a show that ran from 2003 to 2006 for 5 seasons. And it starred 5 teenage superheroes: Robin, Starfire, Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy, as they fight crime and learn how to relate and get along with each other. In any given episode, there'd often be external threats, such as the Hive or Slade. But where the show truly shined were episodes that had a bigger emphasis on the internal conflicts, whether it was an individual character or the group's dynamic as a whole. Because despite their powers and their costumes, what the show did so well was show the human side of these characters. This episode starts out at Titan Tower, with Starfire excited to celebrate a holiday called Blorthog from her home planet, which is meant to be a celebration of friendship. But when she enters the living room, she sees that they're all mad at each other, and too distracted by their own issues to listen to her. All of this culminates with them breaking one of the necklaces she brought for them. She warns that they shouldn't be fighting because she fears that it will cause them to slowly drift apart. Robin does his best to reassure her, saying that's only typical roommate behavior, and promises,
"We'll all be friends forever."
When suddenly, an alarm sounds, and they jump into action. A new villain named Warp is attempting to steal a clock from a museum. Interestingly enough, Warp is a character that first appeared in the new Teen Titans comic book back in 1981, but for the show the writers decided to change a lot about the character, as in the comics, he only was able to teleport by creating portals. However, here, he is able to time travel using his portals. The Titans arrive and attempt to stop him, but he makes quick work of them with his future technology. Warp then creates a portal after stealing the clock and attempting to leave. However, Starfire rushes towards him and goes through the portal with him. Starfire and Warp struggle in the time portal, but she manages to remove a piece of his gear from his costume and falls out of the portal. She eventually lands in a pile of snow and looks up. She sees her home, Titan Tower, but now it looks old and abandoned. She wanders the empty halls until she makes her way back to the living room she had just left, but now it's covered in dust. She finds the beads from the necklace that she had left, along with some robotic bugs. She blasts at one of them out of fear when suddenly she hears a voice call out. She looks and is surprised to see Cyborg, but now much older. He is shocked to see his old friend and drops the lead pipe he was holding, a far cry from the blast cannon he used to have. Starfire asks him what's happening. Cyborg tells her that the battle with Warp was 20 years ago, and that was the last time they saw her. She disappeared without a trace. The team quickly grew apart. Starfire is heartbroken to hear this, as for her, it's only been minutes since she last saw her best friends. She tries to persuade Cyborg to help her find the rest of the Titans, but he tells her he can't leave the tower anymore, as now he needs to be hooked up to an external battery. This really hits hard for Cyborg's character, given the context of the rest of the show, where one of Cyborg's biggest struggles has always been accepting the limitations that come from being half robot. However here, those limitations have won, and his condition has left him isolated from the rest of the world, with his robots being his only company. While he doesn't know where Robin is, he says that he can help her find Beast Boy and Raven. Starfire finds Beast Boy working at a circus, using his powers to transform into any animal as a cheap trick while locked in a cage. When he sees Starfire, he has a mixture of surprise, joy, and shame. Surprise and joy to see his old friend, but shame at the state she finds him in. He tells her that after they all split up,
I tried the whole solo hero thing, got my butt kicked.
And at this point, the ability that wants to find him as a valuable asset to the Titans now limits him to being a sideshow attraction. Starfire's obviously saddened to hear this and attempts to free him from his cage, only for Beast Boy to plead with her to stop, saying it doesn't keep him in, but it keeps everyone else out. She then leaves him as she found him. After this, we get to see what I think is the saddest fate of them all. Starfire goes to an apartment complex. She opens one of the doors and is welcomed into a white room, devoid of any stimulation or distractions. Just nothingness, except for one person, Raven. She stands in the corner facing away from the outside world. With power so dangerous, the only weakness she ever had was her inability to control her own emotions, which now are no longer an issue. As Starfire approaches her and calls to her old friend, Raven simply says,
"Just another figment."
This line is what makes Raven's story so sad, as it implies that throughout these years, Raven's been haunted by the memories of her old friends. Illusions so vivid and lifelike, she wasn't even able to tell if Starfire was real or not, and instead just pushes her away. Throughout the show, we see Raven struggle with learning to open up to her newfound family, trusting them and believing that she could belong. But here, we see that all of her fears were proven right, and that she finds herself alone, just like she was afraid she would. Starfire sees this and leaves her alone with her thoughts. As she wanders into the cold, snowy night, she's attacked by Warp, and after a short battle, she sees that he's aged too. Warp explains that the piece of tech she stole from him prevented him from aging while he time traveled. Starfire demands that he fixes what he's done to her future, or she'll destroy his regulator. He looks confused and tells her that he hasn't done anything, and there's nothing to be done. He says that he traveled back in time to steal the clock because it went missing. He was simply fulfilling his role in history. Time cannot be changed, and events are playing out just as they were supposed to. It's simply fate. This breaks Starfire more than any attack could, as he takes his regulator back, when suddenly a dark figure appears, causing Warp to retreat. Afterwards, the mysterious figure is revealed to be Nightwing. The older Robin takes Starfire to his secret base. She tells him about the hopelessness of their situation.
The past cannot be repaired. The future cannot be altered.
Nightwing responds by telling her that Titans had always found themselves in hopeless situations, then reveals that he kept their old communicators, and just like he had done so many times in the past, as the leader of the Titans, he calls on his friends. Starfire and Nightwing confront Warp at the museum, but this time with 20 years of thought behind it, as Nightwing shows just how much he's prepared for this moment. And just as Warp looks like he's about to get the upper hand on Starfire, the rest of the Titans arrive on the scene, ready to help their old friend. It's at this moment, knowing that he's outnumbered, that Warp makes a portal, but is defeated by the team before he can escape. Cyborg then uses his blast cannon to keep the portal open, just long enough for Starfire to get back to the past. She gives one last look back at her old friends, and enters the portal, with hopes of preventing this future. She lands back in the museum, right where she had just left, with the stolen clock in hand, showing that history can still be changed. The episode ends with her back at the tower, telling them all what she had seen, at which point they decide to celebrate Blorthog with her.
Happy Blorthog!
I thought it was Blordhog.
When I was a kid, I had no idea that what I was watching would stick with me all these years, and there's a certain level of irony that I find in revisiting it now, as we are now past the point of the future that the show took place in the far future of 2024, something that didn't even sound like a real year back then, and I think that this is one of the best episodes of Teen Titans. Because beyond the sci-fi time travel aspect of it, there's a very human and relatable idea at the core of it, which is the idea of loss, but a very specific type of loss. Not from death, but just from slowly drifting apart. The loss of someone that's still there, but no longer there. The idea of the drifting, as Starfire calls it. And I think that this is a really interesting and important message to put into a kid's show. Because as kids, you still think that the friends that you have right now are going to be the friends you have forever. But as kids grow up, they realize that's not always the case. Your best friend forever isn't always going to be your best friend forever. And at its core, I think that it serves as a reminder for people that the people in your life aren't going to be in your life forever. And that relationships are worth putting in the effort. Because time passes no matter what. But every day gives you a new opportunity to shape your future. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun to make. If you're new here, please share, like, and subscribe. It would really help a small channel like mine. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. You can also follow me on my social media, and I'll have the next video out a lot quicker this time, I promise. But in the meantime, you can check out some of my older videos, which should be on the screen. But I just want to say thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.